Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. During the Battle of Marineford, Shanks was responsible for making sure Kaido couldn't go into the battle to confront Whitebeard. And the manner in which Shanks managed to pull this off is still unknown, but it might actually be that Shanks may have divulged a secret that only he knew to Kaido. A secret that may involve Joy Boy, and the possibility that Kaido could realize his greatest dream, losing his life during combat. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how Shanks may have prevented Kaido from going to Marineford, how that deal may be related to Luffy, and how Kaido predicted that Luffy could be Joy Boy during their final confrontations in battle. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like or even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content, and if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing this or your favorite video with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. During the long and arduous battle that Luffy had against Kaido, when Kaido managed to knock Luffy off Onigashima, he said that it may have been that Luffy wasn't Joy Boy as well. Something that left many people in the community confused about, because at no time had Luffy ever said or wanted to become Joy Boy. And for that matter, Luffy didn't even seem to know about Joy Boy's existence, which means someone could have told Kaido about Luffy being Joy Boy. And the only person who could have done that is red-haired Shanks. He is one of the only people in the world that could know the true power of the Nika Nika fruit, and may have possibly be the one responsible for telling Kaido about this great enemy that could actually defeat him in the future. So let's take a second just to look back at past events. At some point, Shanks and his crew acquired the fruit of the Sun God, a fruit that was considered, at the time, the Gomu Gomu no Mi. However, Shanks probably knew the great power that this fruit possessed. After acquiring this fruit, Shanks and his crew went to Fuchsia Village, and unwittingly, or perhaps by being influenced by the fruit, Shanks ended up letting Luffy eat the fruit, causing the little boy to obtain the power of this fruit. And since then, Luffy has trained and developed new techniques with this fruit, and ended up obtaining incredible power through his creativity. Once Shanks leaves Fuchsia Village and left Luffy to go on his own adventure, a few years later, Shanks ended up feeling a strange sensation, a tingling in the scar that Teach had made on him, the very famous three-line scar over one of his eyes. So he decided to find out what Teach was up to. In his search, Shanks ended up going to Whitebeard's ship alone, and using only his Conqueror's Haki to make Whitebeard's weaker pirates faint so as not to interfere with the conversation, he starts a conversation between him and Whitebeard to warn him. Now during the conversation, they have a friendly exchange where Shanks asks Whitebeard to order Ace to return to the ship because Teach had gathered some very strong pirates to fight alongside him. Shanks warned that if Ace persisted in looking for Teach, that it would be dangerous for his own life, because Teach was a dangerous man, and in fact he was responsible for making the scar on Shanks' face in a moment where Shanks himself admits he was not distracted. That means that Teach attacked Shanks directly and managed to cause that wound on his face, something that makes Teach a very smart and agile character because no other pirate could do something similar on Shanks' body. However, Whitebeard refuses because he needed to teach that one should never betray, much less take the life of a crew brother. And it was this act that was unforgivable, and that he would not allow this act to go out without a consequence. Besides that, Shanks was too young and he couldn't command the actions of Whitebeard because Shanks' knowledge is that of a mere child compared to a man who had been alive for so many years living in conflict and sorrow. So once they finished their drinks, we saw the classic and epic scene where they both took out their weapons and clashed, causing the sky to split in half. Now we don't know if this was really a fight between them or just a friendly clash. However, this conversation between them was never divulged to the world. And in the end, it turned out that Shanks' prediction was correct. Ace was defeated by Teach, then captured and handed over to the Marines to have his life taken in public. And Whitebeard would not allow one of his sons to lose their life. So he, along with his allies, went to Marineford to start a battle between the pirates and the Marines. So when Kaido found out that Whitebeard was going to Marineford, he decided that he wanted to go there too to confront Whitebeard, because this battle was making many people afraid of what could happen. For if a confrontation between two Yonko and Marineford were to happen, it would be absolutely devastating, and Marineford would be razed to the ground and destroyed along with all the pirates and Marines that were present. But upon learning that Kaido was headed to Marineford, Shanks, along with his crew, intercepted Kaido's ship and prevented him from going to Marineford as he was trying to prevent further destruction in that location. So Shanks manages to intercept Kaido and convinced him to back off. But during this encounter, Kaido and Shanks didn't end up facing off against each other, which means they were able to settle it with just a conversation, and perhaps a dialogue in which may have given Kaido hope of finally being able to lose his life to Joy Boy and realize his ultimate dream of dying in battle. During that conversation, Shanks may have told Kaido about Joy Boy's return, saying that he may return through Monkey D. Luffy, and for that reason, Kaido would have to wait a little bit longer to be able to confront the little boy in the straw hat. And it seems, at least apparently, Kaido believed Shanks' words, backing off and then waiting years for Luffy to finally achieve his great power, and then officially becoming Joy Boy, the only man capable of defeating Kaido. Now, throughout the Wano arc, we had seen how Kaido acts towards everyone. He doesn't take orders from anyone, he's an arrogant and proud man, going over anyone who ever tries to stand in front of him. So it begs the question, why would he retreat back without at least fighting Shanks? Then, through Joy Boy's possible return, it might have been that would have made Kaido back off, because he had spent all these long years waiting for Luffy, and therefore Joy Boy, to come to him. This would also explain why Kaido quickly had a kind of huge obsession with Luffy during the Wano arc. Kaido even went to confront Luffy after he arrived in Wano, and throughout their clashes and battles, this drove Luffy to the limit of his body until he finally managed to awaken the power of his devil fruit, causing Kaido to recognize him as Joy Boy, because after so many years, Luffy was the only one who could actually defeat him, and even taking his life at the end of the battle. After revealing this secret to Kaido, that Joy Boy was going to return in the future through Luffy, Shanks then quickly went to Marineford to stop the confrontation, and Shanks managed to get to Marineford quite quickly, in fact even saving Kobe's life as well as praising him in the exchange. In that scene of an epic arrival, Shanks ended up stopping Akaino's attack, and then tells Buggy to give the straw hat to Luffy since he had lost it during the confrontation. Now Lucky Roo ended up asking Shanks if he's sure that he didn't want to give it to Luffy himself, and although Shanks admitted that he would love to, it just wasn't the right time for the two to reunite yet. You see, Luffy hadn't become strong enough to fulfill the promise that they'd made to each other so long ago. And besides that, Luffy hadn't awakened his true power yet, and he wasn't strong enough to fulfill Joy Boy's goal from the past. So for this reason, Shanks chose to wait a little while longer before meeting Luffy again, because he knew that Luffy would one day be able to become Joy Boy and change the world completely. So to end all of the fighting and loss in Marineford, Shanks and his crew offered themselves up as the next opponents for the fight, to say that any who still wanted to keep fighting would face them. And Shanks even asked Teach if he wanted to fight. However, Teach declines the proposal, saying that he just wasn't the right time to face him again in a duel. After all, he'd just gotten the power from Whitebeard, so it was necessary to learn how to use this Gura no Mi that he had just stolen. So Teach, along with his crew, they back out of the fight and left Marineford. So with the conflict over, Shanks then told the Marines that he wanted to give Whitebeard and Ace the burials they deserved. So he was going to take their bodies to a place that they would like to be buried. And in a pretty impressive act of respect, the current fleet admiral, Sengoku, orders all the Marines to allow Shanks to take the bodies of these two pirates, and that any consequence of anyone refusing his order would be his full responsibility. So then Shanks, along with the help of Whitebeard's pirates, picks up Ace and Whitebeard's bodies and takes them to have an honorable burial in a place where Whitebeard would like to have his body interred. After burying the bodies in the hometown of Whitebeard, Shanks and Marco then say words of respect and farewell to these two pirates who lost their lives fighting for their dreams. And then Shanks thinks of Luffy, saying that now he would be dealing with an incredible loss. However, this could not be the reason that would make Luffy give up on his dreams, because one must know both victory and defeat to become a real man. So coming back to the Wano arc, we've come to realize that Kaido, at pretty much all times, considered Luffy an interesting opponent, probably trusting that he really could be Joy Boy, the only man who would ever be able to defeat him. This is even proven in the time where Kaido was able to knock Luffy out and then was extremely frustrated that Luffy couldn't defeat him, and not even able to cause injury to his body. It wasn't until the very last confrontation in which Luffy began to use his haki and then awaken his devil fruit when Kaido considered him a worthy opponent, trusting that Luffy to finally be the one that would be able to defeat him. And in the final moments of this battle, Kaido recognized Luffy as Joy Boy. And soon after, we see Kaido's downfall, and Luffy finally becoming Joy Boy with the awakening of his fruit. And it may have been this very awakening that caused Shanks to sail near Wano, because he does, in fact really want to reunite with Luffy. However, again, it just didn't seem to have the timing line up. Shanks still had some unfinished business to resolve with Bartolomeo. But with the incredible display of hockey that Shanks showed at the end of the Wano arc, it's nearly impossible that he didn't feel Luffy become Joy Boy. Now, there's still several mysteries that Luffy's fruit has, but we do expect that when they finally reunite, Shanks may reveal to us during this reunion what is bound to be Luffy's new destiny and all of the things he has still to complete as the new Joy Boy. So with all that said, my friends, we'd love to know what you think about it. Do you think this was the way that Shanks was able to stop Kaido? And do you think that's why Kaido always said that Wano was the place to be? Not necessarily because of all of the resources and their ability to create weapons, but in fact that was going to be the place that Joy Boy would appear. And finally, do you think that Shanks has orchestrated this from the beginning? Do you think it was really his design because of his knowledge? Or do you think there might have been a little influence from the Nika Nika fruit? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video, I want to thank you all so much for watching the video all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I really hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.